Welcome to the Manhattan Project. This is day 2.
And we went to go see Wolf Warriors 2.
Very fitting. Here's a little bit of background of what we did to prepare for Wolf Warriors 2, and also some footage of us on the way into the theater. Alright, what are we watching here, Evan?
We're watching Wolf Warrior 1 in preparation for Wolf Warrior 2.
I hope we can understand them, either of them. Alright, we're still going strong with Wolf Father 1, but it seems like our attention has sort of waned, moved on to side projects. Might go to this puzzle next. But yeah, we're still watching it. This time we're at the AMC Empire 25, which is in like Times Square. Cool theater, been here a billion times before. And we're seeing
Wolf Warriors 2. It's making tons of money, so I'm really expecting something. In China, it's the second highest grossing movie in China right now. It could be the first tomorrow, who knows?
Of all time.
Of all time.
So yeah, we saw it. Big time.
Grand old time.
I think we were the only white people in the entire audience.
There's one other white guy there. Yeah, I think he may have movie hopped that the day.
Either way, we are not the intended target audience for this movie, so take that with a grain of salt, or keep that in mind rather, when you listen to our review. But I think we're impartial. It's not like we totally hated it. Let's get into it.
Roll trailer.
Alright, let's move out, boys!
John, having seen Wolf Warriors, the first one, what were your expectations for this one?
So Wolf Warrior 1 really wasn't good at all. I expected this to be not good at all, and that's about that. Wolf Warrior 1 is a mostly incoherent, and partially because I wasn't paying as much attention because we were building a drum kit. Really, really poorly made, like as far as the special effects, the CGI and stuff like that. Super ultra-violent, jingoistic, Chinese military, Rambo ripoff bullshit movie that we watched. So I expected this to be a really poorly made, shitty Rambo ripoff Chinese militaristic movie as well.
Alright, here's my take. Wolf Warriors 2 vastly improves upon the spectacle of the first one, but still carries the same muddled jingoistic message that comes from the clash between American action movies and a pro-China message. Do you agree?
I agree, Mr. Evan, completely. This movie is shockingly competently made. Just straight from the beginning, as soon as we walk into the theater, the movie first gets going, just that action sequence that's like underwater, looks like a real big-budget American blockbuster. The movie that I kept comparing this to in my mind when watching it, and for good reason, is Captain America Civil War. So Evan and I know, just from the internet, that the Russo Brothers, director of Captain America 2 and 3 and the new Avengers movies coming out, were like creative consultants of some sort on Wolf Warrior 2. Right. They basically came to China and taught the filmmakers how to do big budget special effects and action in the American Hollywood studio style. So for whatever that's worth, I don't think they worked on the script at all or anything like that or directed it, but I think you said they brought in like stunt teams and stuff like that.
Yeah, they helped introduce them to stunt teams, and you get the feeling here that the villains, this team of mercenaries, are actually just stunt people playing the characters, you know.
And Frank Grillo.
And Frank Grillo.
Who was in Captain America 2 and 3, so clearly is friends with them.
He's also sort of known as being one of like a Jason Statham-y, or like Scott Adkins in the first one, like a very sort of gung-ho, stunt-doing type actor. Like,
yeah, and I wonder if like the Purge series is big in China. Probably not. It's because it's very American satire. Anyway, so as a result of that, the thing that struck me the most about Wolf Warrior 2 and kept consistent throughout the whole thing is it's just really well made. Some of the action is pretty tight. None of the choreography or the stuff is like particularly like memorable or show-stopping. It's not like The Raid or anything like that where your jaw is going to be agape looking at the stunt performances. But it's all good enough. Like I said, I think it's on par with most American blockbusters that you see, which is just an incredible whiplash. Right. To having watched the first the first Wolf Warrior the night before and seeing how incompetently made it is. So on that front, yeah, the action fucking works, bro.
I think what it would take to make the action one higher level is like a little bit more of like like sort of a storytelling in a fight scene, a little bit more of like, here's a new obstacle, here's stakes, and they do that a bit here.
In the climax.
In the climax, they do a better job at that. I actually thought there's like a tank battle that was actually really creative, and I was like, man, this is probably the coolest thing I've seen with tanks in a while. So that's one aspect that's good. The one negative side I'd say to the action is this movie, like the first one, is brutally violent and has a very manipulative relationship to violence, where it's like, oh, we're going to kill people, we're going to kill these characters, and we're going to make you feel bad about it, but you're not going to feel bad when the heroes are doing it. And it's not like this is anything new. I mean, we've seen that with Rambo and stuff. This is just sort of a very much an 80s action movie mold now, but I wonder if that still floats these days.
Another good thing I'll say about this movie is I am always a big fan of representation of Africa on screen, because that's like, I think perhaps out of all of like the sort of ethnicities and foreign cultures and stuff like that you see on screen, Africa is the continent that is least represented in American cinema. Obviously, this is not American cinema. In fact, this movie got released in like 2 theaters in America, like the entire country. But regardless, as an American moviegoer who sees mostly American movies, the last time I saw a movie that had like African characters was like Queen of Katwe, which was like a year ago.
Almost exactly.
And then again, at the same time, though, this movie is kind of really offensive towards Africans and pretty much everyone else in the world, sort of equally, which I guess we should get into now, because I think we both agree, is that like, what's really problematic with the movie is what it seems to want to say in general, like why it exists, the point of it, is like to tell the world, hey, viewer, just so you know, the Chinese military is the best, they're the strongest, fear them, they're also kind and good.
Right, they want to help people.
And they don't, like, their alliance is just with righteousness. And so, therefore, if there's revolutionaries causing a fuss in Africa and we're friends with the Africans, we'll help. But generally, at the end, the real point is like, let them have their conflict. What's important is that we made it known that we're not ones to fuck with. And really, like, the conclusion of this movie is like them going to a battlefield and being able to have proven themselves and then not be involved in the conflict.
Yeah, literally.
It's like, you guys can kill each other, have fun, but just to be clear, the Chinese do not need to be touched by anyone. It's almost like the point of the movie is like, hey, the rest of the world, you know, fuck around with each other, have fun. Just know that China doesn't want to be touched, because if you do touch us, we'll fight back, blah, blah, blah. Which is like, I don't know, kind of weird, and it's super isolationist. Is that a real word?
Yeah.
Which is what China is, so it makes sense.
Or some of that comes from the fact that this movie is, to a T, narratively following the tropes of certain blockbuster movies, including having this hero who's like this rogue maverick. He's the lone badass who's going to save the day. He kind of has a ragtag team, but most of the time it's him doing all the work. On the other hand, he's so proud that he's from the People's Liberation Army and representing China and stuff. So they verbally have him keep like referencing China, and there's the idea that he isn't actually going rogue, he's just like doing a special favor for them. So yeah, there's, from the very beginning, there's a tension in the movie between wanting to be a fairly American style of action movies, which often involves a little bit more like of a cowboy attitude, where it's like, well, I like America as like a place, not necessarily as a government or a thing, because I'm above that, as opposed to like, no, the Chinese government and the Chinese values have to be the same. So yeah, as America's entertaining, interesting politically, I guess, you know, we're sorry that we invented Rambo.
Yeah.
Or that London has fallen or whatever.
And then I will say, on a not political note, just as far as the quality of the movie, it's not quite there yet. It's not full American blockbuster. There are shots in this. There's like, you know, crane footage and drone footage and
there's a lot of stock footage
and stock footage
like
that just would
not
not fly in America. That's for sure. So it's almost there. It's, you know, it's a really impressive leap forward for Chinese action cinema as far as technical quality, but it's not quite there. I will also say the lead guy who returns from the original one, I have no idea what his name is, very charismatic, great face, good performer. I don't obviously understand the language, so I can't tell you how well his vocal performance is, but he's totally believable to me throughout. As far as like picking an action star, if he is the new, like, you know, like I know, what's the dude from Rogue One?
The new Donnie Yen, you're saying?
Like if he's like the new Donnie Yen, who like I know is like a big Chinese action star, it works. I like that guy.
So, here's one more note. My favorite thing that this movie also inserts in is it's very like Robert Rodriguez at times, with like the Spanish guitar and him being all sad. I actually like that a surprising amount. And you've seen the bloopers at the end. He seems like a charismatic guy. So I feel like either if he's going to make an American movie, not that he has to, but if he does, he should be in a Robert Rodriguez movie, or he needs to do the Jackie Chan thing and show his comedic side. He should do one of those like more slapstick stunt-driven movies, because I think he has the smile for it.
He's good.
So how would you rate this movie, John?
We still don't have a rating system, but I would say that Wolf Warrior 2 is an improvement in all ways in the first one. So if you like that one, seek this film out, no matter what country you're in. It is destroying records overseas right now. And I'm sure if you live in China and you have access to YouTube and can see us somehow, I don't really know how it works, you've already seen it or you plan to see it. But if you live in America, if you're a fan of Chinese cinema, if you're a fan of cinema in general, I think it's a very fascinating watch to see. This is not what you expect when you see a foreign movie. When you go to like an art house theater and you look at the marquee and you say, oh, it's a movie that's from China and somehow made its way to America. It must be some like Oscar baity, whatever. It must be In the Mood for Love or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not. And so it's definitely a fascinating watch. If you're a connoisseur of cinema, see it. If you're an average Joe layperson, American, this is not going to convince you. It's not going to turn you over. It's not worth your time to avoid, the American movie you were planning to see this weekend, because this is so unmissable. It's not.
I'm also curious if you're someone who really likes martial arts movies, what you think, because there's a decent amount of martial arts in this, but also like a lot of shooting. So maybe
it's
that'll
mostly shooting.
Yeah, maybe that'll offend your sensibilities because it's not pure, whatever. Who knows? So my rating system, I'll give this one a $2 bill. It's kind of special and different. Not necessarily worth that much money, but if you're the kind of person who's into that, then you'll be really happy that you got
So basically,
a $2 bill.
You're saying like 2 out of 4 stars, like 5 out of 10, something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. Thank you guys so much for watching. Join us tomorrow where we review another movie, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day.